Hey, Stoney here with a 2v2 game of Mechabellum. And this is a game taken from the Rust and Furious 2v2 tournament qualifier round between Ensako and Forbidden Arbiter versus Sir Limbo and Molani, or also known as Codyfly. Well, by the way, the Rust and Furious 2v2 Mechabellum tournament finals will take place this Saturday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come and support your favorite teams, and the entire event will be streamed by 3 streamers, which is myself, Apuchi, and Pastor Drewski. So come check it out, and I'll see you on Saturday. Now let's get back into the game. Alright, starting at round 1, we have Sako playing as a Farseer spec, Arbiter playing as a Marksman spec, Sir Limbo as a Supply, and Molani playing as a Quick Supply spec. And it looks like Team Red is trying to force their way into the central tower. So whenever you're playing the compact maps, the central towers are very close together. There is a strategy to be had when you're just pushing through the tower, because you can actually disable both parties of your opponents very quickly if you can get to the tower. With Chris Supply, Molani decided to start with the 4 Tarantula into a few Sledgehammers and Marksman. We have Steel Ball aggro, kind of to work with the Tarantula to capture the tower, and also into Sledgehammers, Arclights, and a couple Crawlers. So we have Sledge Gaming at the bottom, and then we have a variety of aggro positions, both the Tarantulas and the Steel Balls at the top. Alright, the Steel Balls are coming in. However, with Marksman already on the board, I think the Steel Balls themselves are just getting taken down a little bit too quickly. On the Molani side, the 4 Tarantula composition didn't actually work out because of the additional Marksman. And also one of the Tarantula decided to help out on the other side. So despite the fact that he did start with Quick Supply, which normally gets him the first round win, he was not able to seal the deal into Forbidden Arbiter. All right, round 2, we're going to have our first reinforcement, and it looks like there's going to be underground in the pack, so I wonder if that's something everyone's going to take. So it's going to be underground from Forgotten Arbiter, which is going to go all the way behind Sir Limbo, and also Sako getting the same tech, getting behind Molani. That's the problem with being an aggro. You just have no defense in the back. It wouldn't be as much of an issue for their Sledgehammer players, for Team Blue here, because both of them are very close to the tower, and now they're putting down Arclights that should be sufficient to defend against the underground threat. One of them took something different. So Sir Limbo actually took subsidized Steel Balls, so he already has 2 Steel Balls, so it's going to add even more Steel Balls in this aggro formation. Now, one thing to note is that the Arbiter's board has no chaff, right? The very first chaff is being put down, and that's going to be a very late arriving Crawlers. Right now, he's just using the Sledgehammers as his primary chaff. And the Crawler has successfully attracted the underground threat, so the Arclight's actually able to help out a little bit. And the underground threat for Sir Limbo actually got to the middle tower, and now both of the members of Team Red are under tower debuff, and this is not a good news. Whenever you're playing aggro with Tarantula and Balls, you need to have those levels, and if you're not able to get those levels, and God forbid this Marksman start to get levels, then it's a very difficult battle. All right, another round going here for the Team Blue. Another reinforcement round. So we're gonna have Bombard here. Heavy armor for Milani. And what about Team Blue? Wouldn't be surprised if he also takes Bombard, or at least one of them taking Bombard. I mean, this position right here is just so juicy to just have Bombards. Alright, still deciding on their attack. So looking at the board here, we do have the first technology coming down on the Tarantula, and that is going to be field maintenance. Realize that the Tarantulas themselves are simply not able to tank all the way to kill all these sledgehammers, so he decided just to take field maintenance. I would probably go for range, right? That 40-meter range allows the Tarantula to shoot at his opponents for quite a few more rounds, and I think that will be very potent here. Sacco, let's see here. Actually, Arbiter taking the Incendiary Bomb here, putting down on the line. A very effective skill against any type of aggro. Both sides are starting to flank, so we got Phoenix trying to come on the side, being very sneaky. And of course, we have a Tarantula coming in on the other side. Now, this time, with the field maintenance, these Tarantulas are actually surviving quite a lot longer. Even the level 3 marksman is having a bit of an issue getting this Tarantula down, and that's just 1 out of the 4. Alright, so I take that back, whatever I said about getting range first. It looks like this is actually quite effective into just the sledgehammer line with a few marksmen. And Morlani is now single-handedly saving the game here for Team Red. So they've been losing the first 2 rounds, and this is now getting into the first win. Now there's a huge HP discrepancy from 5,500 for the blue team and 3,200, so they have quite a lot of catching up to do. But with the new technology, I think this is going to start to turn to their favor. Now, just like anything with technology, they can be disabled with EM, so I wonder if that's going to be the next order of business for Arbiter here. Alright, looking at a board here. So this Phoenix flank is not going to work. There's going to be 2 packs. Oh, this is a unit drop round. Okay, so it's going to be Wasp here for both Arbiter and Malani. The Wasp here is to exploit the lack of anti-air for both sides. So they both only had marksmen, so the Wasp can actually do quite a lot of damage and tanking. There's going to be a flanking Wasp on the Malani's board, as well as Arbiter's board out at the very back here. Arbiter, being a marksman spec, actually spent 200 to buy a melting point just to deal with the singular Tarantula. I wonder if this is going to be a continuous trend, just start selling off this higher level marksman in favor of melting point. So just going to go sledgehammer melting point. Let's take a look at Sacco's board and Sir Limbo. We got the unit drop, and that's going to be Wraith. And we have ranged hackers to deal with the steel balls. Sacco notices that the subsidized steel balls are taken, so he expects a bit more steel balls. The Phoenix was sold because that's just not going to do anything here. Another fire is being added on. Alright. The round seems pretty even because we do have a missile that takes care of the flank here. And right now with the melting point, sure, I think it's going to take care of both of these Tarantulas. There's just not enough damage here. Very unfortunate. And then the hacker side, we actually have the level 2 Wasp taking out of both of the raids, thanks to a bit of help from the marksman. Let's look at Arbiter's side. The sheer amount of HP from this melting point is actually saving him the board. Very good. So sometimes when you buy a giant, you don't just need to kill things very fast. Sometimes you also need a bit of HP. So in this case, melting point fills both of those roles of just having a lot of HP and also killing things like this Tarantula, which is very tricky to kill if you're trying to use them with the marksman. And he doesn't even run EM on the marksman, so he just said, you know what, I'm just going to go straight to the unit that counters the tarantula, which in this case is a melting point. And then here, we're just going to go straight to the unit that counters the steel balls, which in this case are the hackers. We have a Sandworm coming down at level 2. Sir Limbo is a supply spec, so he unlocks the Sandworm and bought them at level 2, a very hefty investment. Level 1 hacker do have a bit of an issue hacking level 2 Sandworms, but right now the real concern that I have is just that these steel balls will get hacked no matter what. They are running forward ahead of these vans, which means the hackers would just simply grab them as they get into range. There are no crawlers whatsoever in front of the steel balls. And if you're looking at Sir Limbo's board, there really isn't a lot of damage. Right now, the biggest damage is coming from these 2 Sandworms. But the problem is, once you steal the steel balls, you have to get rid of them yourself, and that's going to take a lot of time. All right, Milani's board, we have Multi-Melter. Multi-Melter is great into both tarantulas and wasps. And I think he's just going to continue adding Melter and just tanks and Melter. All right, let's see how well these 2 Sandworms do into the tower. They do have strike, so they have quite a lot of range in that first attack. And here's what I was talking about, right? The steel balls has nothing in front of them, so now it's just complete chaos. This hacker is just having a field day stealing the steel balls. Trying to steal a level 2 Sandworm, but they are a little bit more tanky than your regular Joe. Not able to do that just yet. Alright, getting tower here. But the Multi-Melter, though, is just doing so much work. Okay, both Sandworms coming down. Okay, getting tower once again. The hacker's not able to steal any of the Sandworms so far, but he is able to steal pretty much everything else. And now with the tower down, let's see if this Sandworm's actually going to get underground. In fact, it is. Okay. Very good. So one more point for Team Red here. The Sandworms are kind of crawling their way back. All right, we're getting into round 6. If I were Sir Limbo, I'll probably start selling out the steel balls, or at least give him some cover. So having crawlers both in front and behind the steel ball tend to work a little better. Right now, just with hackers on the board, having medium units is just such a problem. Okay, looking on the other side, I think Milani is going to need a little bit more damage. I think the force can do damage just fine. Possibly leveling up these marksmen as well. We have a single level 3 Scorpion right here. The level 3 Scorpion has a single job, and that is to get to the tower. But in order to do that, this Tarantula and also the marksman right here, the Arclight right here is going to do a lot of work. Whenever you see 2 level 2 Sandworms and you don't want to use Melting Point to answer them, an easier way or more direct way to answer them is just the War Factory with Launcher Overload. The Sandworms themselves can actually not kill the War Factory fast enough, especially if it's behind a single layer or multiple layers of chaff. And then Launcher Overload is going to do a lot of damage with the Sandworms while they're above the ground. And it requires no charging whatsoever. Alright, we got multiple giants coming in on that side. Now, I am a little concerned because once the chaff is gone, this melting point is able to log on to pretty much everything here. We do have underground here to provide even more defense, so that's tying up this tarantula, allowing this melting point to work. At the front here, we do have quite a lot of aggression. Lots of walls coming down. Tarantulas are being locked left and right, unfortunately. Once again, the steel balls, it's actually working against Sir Limbo here. We do have a tower capture on the side, and the fortresses are still living. Tower capture is on the other side, and here's the problem. We got Multi-Melter and Hacker working in tandem. And with the tower down, this Sandworm is going to turn And this Sandworm is going to turn. And this one is probably going to turn as well. So it doesn't matter that the Team Red has fortresses left over. With all these units over here, there's just no way. And not to mention, there's going to be a tower capture, and the fortress also dies to this melting point. So, in a fantastic, explosive final round, I think Team Blue is going to win this game. So, Hacker, Multi-Melter, a very potent composition. In fact, when I was playing Hacker, I love to have a few Multi-Melter, but it's always so expensive. So, they have figured out a way to complement each other to have Hacker and Multi-Melter. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you want to see another video, here's one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics, Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress, the battlefield's alive with swarms.